further to my questions about Saskatoon bushes, what can we do to enhance/help wild foraging foods? I'm close to free crown land and come across a patch of, say, thimbleberries, but they're being choked out by thistle. How can I enhance the berries and not the thistles? Love your saying about land drunk. That's me. I've lived all my life in Alberta, mostly southern Alberta, and now I'm on the other side of the Rockies, the warm side. Going to town to a lot, 6+ acres is overwhelming. Land drunk equals land drunk. Thank you for all your leadership. Permaculture is the answer after love. So yeah, kind of on Saskatoon bushes.
So first off, the land drunkenness, that's Rob saying.
Oh, is it?
And he first, when he first said it, it blew me away because like, touring these like small urban properties in town, they're so tight and like every square inch has to be, like your property, Curtis. And then you get to my place and it's like, well, I got so much room. I can afford to be inefficient. I can, I got do-overs, and it just breeds shitty design. So I'm not too familiar with thimbleberry. We don't have them growing here. But the whatever species you're trying to propagate, again, the process would be the same, is just do some research into what that plant's kind of needs and yields are in terms of it's a a standard kind of permaculture design method, and understand, like, does it come up after a fire? Does it require disturbance? Is it an edge species, or is it like a shade species? Different things like that. So for example, like Saskatoon, in our area, what I've noticed just from observing kind of patterns is typically it's on like the edge of forests. Like for me, we have a lot of poplar forests here, and so I find they're kind of they're the advanced stage of a forest succession in healthy soils. If you've got like salty soil or something like that, you'll have different species. But so like they like to live on the edge. They don't mind disturbance. They do sucker, and they do typically kind of grow in clumps. And so one of I've never played around with this, but I think particularly for Saskatoons, one of the things you could do would be to coppice old species and old plants, and then keep the young ones, because from looking at like our wild patches on our farm, they tend to kind of like overgrow themselves and then they kind of die, versus and they just kind of smother themselves out, and you don't get any production. Versus if you were to go in there and like thin them, you'd create more light and you probably get more production that way. And Saskatoon is a fantastic wood. I use it for smoking my meats. I also use it for tool handles. It's a really flexible but strong tool handle. But you could also use it for firewood as well. So that would be one thing I would do, particularly for something like Saskatoon. Something like raspberry, on the other hand, I would actually create or like blackberry in your area. Like, it needs disturbance and like fire and stuff like that. Now, you might not have the ability to do that, so maybe you can spread wood ashes down to create those same kind of pulses in the soil that trigger the germination of those seeds. So yeah, really, it's just like understand what the plant needs, what its role is within the ecological succession, and then figure out how you can get in there to do some management. Another fantastic one that I haven't heard anybody talk about is stinging nettle. It's one of my favorite wild foraging plants. It's absolutely delicious, particularly in the spring. Yeah, it's way better than spinach, in my opinion. It's like a meaty flavor, and it's one of the first things up. So if you don't have a greenhouse or anything like that, like it can extend your season, a month into the ahead of everything else. And the roots are edible as well. I've never eaten the roots myself.